Okay, before we start this video, if you haven't already watched the one about me losing a bet, you're gonna want to. It'll just make sense if you do. If you're lazy though, honestly, same. I'll just explain it to you then, I guess. So basically, I got into this bet to see if I could learn a backflip faster than my friend Danny. If I won, he'd have to buy me lunches and stuff for 2 weeks. If he won, I would have to go out with this guy he was friends with. If you're wondering who won, well, this video isn't titled about how much food I ended up getting this week, so we can assume the latter. Yep, I lost miserably. No, seriously, I was miserable while preparing to talk to this guy. Danny gave me the guy's number and gave me 2 days to muster up the courage to call the guy. Here's the thing, I grew up in America where no one trusts anyone. I don't know what other countries are like when it comes to blind dates. Probably means I should get out more, but I just know I might need some pepper spray and a pocket knife. Is that a bit extreme? Who am I kidding? It's just fine. Anyway, the lunch is tomorrow. I had a whole day to mentally prepare for talking to this guy. Now though, I was feeling super self-conscious. I knew he was probably going to be talking in French, but my French still wasn't that great. I'm no one near bilingual territory, that's for sure. Was he going to make fun of my French skills? Was I going to resort to English and find out he only spoke French? Well, a lot of people around here actually do speak English too, but I didn't know for sure. I didn't even know the guy's name, let alone if he spoke English or not. I decided to be brave for 2 seconds. I put in his number and waited for him to answer. A million things were running through my head when I realized he wasn't picking up after 4 rings, but he eventually did, and I had to stop myself from breathing out a sigh of relief. I introduced myself to him, and he started laughing and told me Danny told me about him. That's never a good start to things. I mean, Danny's a cool guy, but after the stunt he pulled to get me and this guy together, I've got my eye on him. This guy told me he'd only heard good things though, and I guess that was a pretty good start. I asked him for his name, and he told me it was Hugo. Okay, not bad. I actually really like that name. We went through a little more small talk, asking about classes, how our days had been, and then I finally got down to business. I asked him about when we were going on a date, because that's what Danny so desperately wanted. He then told me he thought the date was supposed to be tomorrow, from what Danny had told him. Oh, that little son of a beeswax sculpture. The beeswax sculpture he's the son of would be a snake, by the way. Just thought I'd put that out there. I agreed to the date, we hung up, and I went about my business trying to put out of my mind the different things that could possibly go wrong while I was there. After a while, I finally also gave in to my anger, and I called Danny. At this point, I figured he needed to hear it in his own language too. I started yelling at him in French. The first thing he did was compliment it, which I guess was okay. It was getting better, I must say. Then he explained Bridget, Alice, and him would be at lunch together, watching the date from afar. I was glaring at him. He couldn't see it, but I was. We hung up, and I was back to being a fuming little anger puff, and decided to aggressively clean my apartment with my new surge of motivation I had seemed to have picked up. I actually got sleep despite all the things on my mind, and to tell you the truth, I was actually a bit excited. Don't tell Danny I said that though. He'd never let me live it down. So I go through classes the next day with my leg bouncing up and down. I wasn't sure what I was going to expect through the day. Was he even going to be attractive? I mean, his voice sounded really nice. I'll give him that, but I'm a foreigner. All the guys with accents sound cute to me, so what do I know? Do we even like the same stuff? What was he studying? Had I seen him around the university? Was he in any of my classes? Speaking of, class was over, and I finally had to get up and go to the restaurant and sit down with a stranger. With each step I took, I could feel my heart doing a dance of death. I stepped in, looked around, and sure enough, Danny, Bridget, and Alice were there waving at me. I smiled at them and watched as they pointed to a table that was a few tables away from them. I wasn't sure they were pointing at the right table, because the guy sitting there, even by just seeing his back, I could tell was attractive. I walked up to it slowly. I could be wrong. People can look attractive in the back and are super ugly in the front. But when I make my way over to the table, he turns around, smiles, stands up, and puts his hand out. He introduces himself as Hugo, and I'm stuck looking like an idiot. This is the most attractive man I have ever seen in my life. Forget my high school boyfriend and that one guy I met in Prague. Nothing compared to the gorgeous man that was standing in front of me. Seriously, how does he make his hair look that nice? And what is up with all of these people with nice tans I keep meeting? I finally shook his hand. I will never doubt Danny again. We sat down to lunch and quickly got to talking about school, about how we knew Danny. I apologized quickly about my mix of French with English. He said he was fluent in both, so it was fine. Another score! We got to know each other over the next 2 hours or so. I had a lot of time before my next class that day. 3 hours to be exact. I found out he likes reading. Seriously, what is up with that? Universe, I'm not gonna pick up a book anytime soon. I feel like I'm just trying to prove the universe wrong at this point. Maybe I should finally pick up a book at this point. Of course, I finally considered it because I'm on a date with a super attractive human being, but still. He likes to travel too. Alright, something we had in common. He was a photographer. Cool, just like Angie. He was an extrovert. Definitely loved that. He's also very much a foodie, and he likes learning new languages. I asked him how many he knew. The answer is 4. He's going on number 5 at the moment. Seriously, how is Danny friends with this guy? He told me that we had a lot in common, and very quickly added we should hang out again soon. I agreed, of course. How could I not? We went our separate ways. Now this is where we are. I call him basically every day. If it's not me calling him, he calls me. Anytime there's a group hangout, he tags along. I mean, he's the perfect human, and everyone loves him, so I'm not shocked. The two of us take every Thursday to spend time together and get to know each other more in between classes. And this guy comes over on the weekends occasionally, with snacks and French candy, so we can watch French movies together without subtitles that he'll silently translate for me. And he'll sit with me and watch and read a book together. Who am I? Seriously, I can't get enough of spending time with him. I'm the biggest dork on the planet, and he seems to love it. I don't know what I did to get this good of karma, but I obviously did something right in my life. Here's the thing, we aren't official yet, though. I mean, I think we are, but not verbally, you know? Like, we haven't said we're a couple. If someone brings something up that reminds me of him, I refer to him as the guy I've been seeing. He's definitely my boyfriend, though, right? Yeah, I think we're a couple. At least I think so. I hope so. Moving on, moral of the story? Trust your friends. Even if you're still mad at them for beating you in a bet and scaring you half to death. You did good, Danny. You did good.